Welcome to Dev Diary number 5. Today I'm going to go over some of the lore I've created for Clockworks Framework in the world of Corvyth. This lore that I've created definitely has taken a back seat as I've focused more on the mechanical side of the game for many of the years that I've been working on it, but there is still quite a lot here. This may be one or two videos, but we're going to start off by talking about the month structure. Someone who knows a lot about, astrophysics or just astrological sciences in general. Maybe tell me if this is even plausible or not, but I get to use the effects of magic to make it function in my fantasy steampunk world. I once tried to learn to see if this was even possible, and I used one of those simulators to create a solar system. And over many attempts, I never succeeded to get the planets not to crash into each other, shoot off into space away from the sun, or not collapse into the star. So we're going with magic. Someone can tell me if it's possible or not. So there are 16 months. All the months, not all the months, some of the months are dedicated to guilds. There are 12 months dedicated to a specific guild. 2 of the months are split in half, as there are 4 months of light and dark to each. The first month of the year is a season of light, and in a season of light, most of the northern hemisphere is covered in light. It has light for a majority of the day, large majority meaning if we put it on a 24-hour cycle, they're getting about 20 to 21 hours of light in a day. Similar to like the North Pole or the South Pole, where the sun sometimes doesn't set. Like there'll be periods of dusk, which I consider non full light, but the sun will be up pretty much all day, or it'll be down all day, and you'll get like some periods of twilight, but it's pretty much down. So that's pretty much the season of light and the season of dark, affecting the northern southern hemisphere. So the northern hemisphere, it's the season of light. In the southern hemisphere, they would be experiencing a season of dark. But these names and seasons are based off the northern hemisphere of Corvyth. So month 1 of the year is season of light, named the month of rest. It is not dedicated to a guild. It is a month dedicated to spending time with your friends, your family, and not really focusing on work. People do still work, but it's not heavily. Take some time to relax and get in touch with people. That's the month of rest. The first half of the month of knowledge takes place right afterwards. It's a summer month season. It is dedicated to librarians. The second half of that is right before the end of the year. The third month, second month of summer, is a month of games. It is a festival for all the guilds. Some major cities do have their guilds put on, plays or demonstrations, recruiting material, and just fun things and get-togethers and gatherings, collaborations. It's a fun time to celebrate. It doesn't happen like every single day of the month, but throughout the month, different cities will put up and do large events to both recruit and to allow all the denizens of Corvyth to have fun and enjoy and partake of the success of the guilds through fun games and demonstrations and such. Then we move into the fall, where we have the first month of fall is the month of preparations. It is dedicated to the servants. Second month of fall is the month of hunting, which is dedicated to the Hunters Guild. Third month of fall is called the month of memories, and it's dedicated to the bards. Then you move into the first half of winter, with the month of Souls and the first half of the month of Truth. These are dedicated to the Summoners and Investigators. Then you have the 2 dark months. Again, this is Northern Hemisphere, so it is dark up there. They are the months of Peril and Feasts. They are dedicated to... Perils is dedicated to no one. It is a remembrance of those who have passed. Then the second one is the month of Feasts, where imagine American Thanksgiving. Everyone gets together for large feasts. So once you've gone through this month of mourning and respect, you get to this month of excitement and feasts, and it also has to deal with remembrance and thanks and good food. But just a way for people to come out of the dark months, and in the Southern Hemisphere is the light months. They do keep the same names, even though it is flipped. It's just based on the Northern Hemisphere. But they come out of these months with camaraderie and fun, good food, good company. Then you get back into the winter months, the second half of the month of Truth, which is again still dedicated to the Investigators, and the month of Shadows, which is dedicated to the Assassin's Guild. Then you get into the spring with the month of Dreams, which is dedicated to the Mechanics. The month of Families, which is a all guilds or no guilds month. Another month dedicated to the people. Then you have the Champions month of Champions, which is dedicated to the Gladiators. And then we get back into summer to end out the year with the summer month of Adventure, which is dedicated to the Pilots, and the second half of the month of Knowledge, which is dedicated to the Librarians. And then lastly, the last month of Light, which ends the year, the month of Salvation, which is dedicated to the Healers. They do have irregular day sets, and I did have fun with this and put in like a dual leap year system. Why? Because I was having fun with it years ago. But essentially, on a leap year of every 4 years, an extra day is added to the month of the hunt, and every 2 years, an extra day is slotted into the month of families. So there are technically 2 leap years where days are added. 1 day is added every 2 years. 2 days are added every 4 years. In this lore that I've written and will write, there are 2 prominent eras that I will focus on. There is the Chaos era and the Void Orm Peace era. The Chaos era is this era where the Drow came to power, and up until the gods sundered their civilization, and the Void Orm took over. It does technically go well beyond that. I may create other eras before the Chaos era, but for now, the Chaos era is the only one that I have named, and is the one directly before the Void Orm Peace era. Then we get into the clans. I've gone through the clans many times. We've gone through their base affinities, their racials. Alignment is something I use when creating the clans. It'll never show up in anything. It was just like to help me fundamentally figure out their abilities and their base ideas. I used to play a lot of D&D 3.5, so obviously alignment charts were a big thing in there, but this will not show up in anything past this general chart that I used to create. Then we have where the clans are located. Eventually I'll get a well-drawn map. I will show off my bad drawing again. Nope, not that one. This one. My terrible drawing. So the Frost of Casks is up here. This is the Plains of Presh. Over here with the Marked II. Marked III to the right of that is the Scorched Plains. 4 is this serpent-like squiggly line up here. That's the Abyssal Rift. 5 is the Frozen Flames of Balor. That's at the very bottom. Then you have the ever-changing lands, which show up on the very left side of the map and the right side of the map on the bottoms. And then this scratched-out piece that has shape but has like horizontal lines through it. That's the Broken Gate. It's the sundered landmass from when the Draug were destroyed, sundered. We can reference that photo a few times as we go through. But the Kitsune are from a place on the Frost of Caste called Cast Tooth. The Spectres are from the Blessing. The Gerudos, the Pillars of Eternal Wind. The Baelor, Peninsula of Abaddon. Abandon. Archon is from Hezek's Mountains, Afridi from the Spark Woods, Fairy from the Dark Descent, Elrasai from the Spawns of Feeding Grounds, Protean from the Plains of the Falling Snow, David from the Healing Woods, Scylla from No Flow River, Tempest from the Moon's Visage. And there are gods, primordials, divine beings in this world. They are physical beings that can be interacted with, in a sense. They are not like the gods of our world that you can only speak to or deal with metaphysically. There are ways, much like in fantasy worlds, where you could contact and physically see or talk to the gods themselves. Not to tread on people's religions of this world. I'll leave that at that. Their names are Yezwin, Zel, Vimir, Crux, Boroth, Kask, Presh, Baelor, and Hezron. There are 3 moons and technically 2 stars for the solar system. The suns and the moons are named after the gods. Or rather, they share the names of the gods. But yeah, Yezwin, Zel, Vermeer are the 3 moons. The suns are Crux and Boroth. Again, this might not be possible. I have no clue. But it works for this world because magic. At the very least. So we're going to these major areas. So the Frost of Caste, you have the Shearing Winds of Nesh. And we can reference my drawing a little bit. So the Frost of Caste again is this part across the very top. The first major area, the Shearing Winds of Nesh, is this eye right here at the top. This is an icy landscape, not mostly snow, not much vegetation. There is it's called the Shearing Winds of Nesh because of shearing winds that cross this area, this tundra. It is very cold to go there. Some animals do live there in this snowy, icy landscape, but they are hardy creatures, to say the least. Then you have Vesnu's Outcropping, going back to this bad drawing right here, this double eye. You, really, really old Spectre lore, but there was a group called, a person named Vesnu. They had a outpost there, and it is the last resting place of Vesnu. The Spectres go there to pay respects to this individual. It's like a pilgrimage. It was a very important person in their clan history. Number 3, Kask's Blessing. Looking back at my terrible picture, we have this 3 eyes over here on the right. This is the home of the Spectre clan. There is a fresh water source in the area, and the northern continent being a very dangerous one. A lot of the deadlier sea life from the coast stays away from it. There is an area, a subterranean area here that they have utilized, but the area itself, as far as landscape go, is extreme snowfall, and it's very, very cold. Then you have Cask's Tooth, which is this tooth-like landmass coming out of the landmass itself, the major continent itself. I'm trying to repeat words. Major continent itself. That is Cask's Tooth. That is the home of the Kitsune. They don't have as much resources as the Blessing does, but they do a lot more hunting. But it is more dangerous. And then they also have access to geothermal vents. So they do have a nice industry of like bathhouses and saunas, essentially, in this area. Then you got the Plains of Presh. That is this large landmass on the left-hand side of the map. My terrible, terrible drawing. Number 1 is the Pillars of Eternal Wind. That's up here at the top of that landmass. That is where the Garuda live. And it's called the Pillars of Eternal Wind because there are many naturally, well, as far as the Garuda know, and people of the world know, there are many naturally forming large, very tall pillars. Think like Grand Canyon-esque if you were standing at the bottom of it, but instead of just giant walls, they were large pillars dotting the landscape. I use pillars not to invoke a thought of like, oh, we went into Roman architecture and there was a pillar there. I literally mean it as a semicircular, very large, like, piece of the earth extending high into the sky. Not something you'd ever be able to take like 10 people and wrap. You'd need like hundreds of people to wrap around how large these columns are. Their circumference, I mean. Next, you have the Canyon Echo Dreams. Very old canyon. Lots of geological, strange geological stuff going on the Plains of Presh. Not why it has its name, but there are quite a few interesting geological structures here. Again, someone who knows this stuff could tell me if this is even possible, but I choose it to be because this is what I envisioned. So the wildlife there is aggressive. It has inhabitants around the area, but not directly in it. There is a legend of the area that says you drink the waters of the canyons. You'll be able to receive others' dreams. I wrote that down. It may be true. I haven't fully decided yet. That's over here on the right-hand side. Like southeast of where the Garuda live. 3 is the Grand Bellows. There are caves that form underground labyrinths there. They stretch for miles in every direction and can go below sea level. They are not very comfortable, very warm, almost hot. Think extremely humid, muggy cave. But this area is over here on the very left-hand side of the Plains of Presh. The Peninsula of Abandon is the home of the Baylor clan. That is over here, back on the right-hand side, close to the Scorched Plains. You have Geyser Springs, that's number 5. That's back again on the left, by the cave system. You have the Hezex Mountains. This is the home of the Archon clan. They're down here at the very southern part of the continent, to the west of the Baelor's ancestral home. Then you have the Heart of Presh, and this is why it's called the Plains of Presh, because this entire central area from the 4 different sections is primarily plains and some areas of desert. Mostly plains, though, going through this entire area. Then you have the Scorched Plains. That is this continent over here to the right of the Plains of Presh. The 2 major areas here, one towards the north, one towards the south, with the center area being this, vast plains area, is the Hezron Lake, which is 3 volcanoes that sit in a triangle that create a bowl between them. They have never not been somewhat active. They've always had lava in them. And in that bowl has been a lake of lava, but they haven't really ever been in a dormant state as far as the recorded history goes for this area. But because of that, a lot of the area around it, the vegetation there, doesn't really grow to any extreme amount. There are some outcroppings of vegetation, but it's scarce. To the south part of the continent, there's the Spark Woods, the home of the Afriti clan. It is a mystery of the world. They've never figured out why this area does what it does. But it has a 4-week cycle in which the forest grows, blooms, withers, and burns. And essentially every 4 weeks they're dealing with that. But they live there. They obviously have ways to deal with the burning aspect. But it is a cycle of hunting, harvesting, gathering, going through this rotation on the outskirts of the woods, living off of the bounty of this wood. With the advancement of technology and society, things have changed a little bit. Obviously, their cities have become larger than their ancestral tribal homes, original like towns and smaller cities. But they'd still do work, part of their industry of working with this forest, getting what they can out of it, and keeping it healthy. The Abyssal Rift. The snake-like piece up here. The first area is the Caustic Bog. That's way over here on the right. Highly caustic liquids are there. Many things that walk through it will die. We're talking like it starts to dissolve you as you touch it. Very dangerous area. Probably should state that the know why I keep saying Abyssal. The Abysmal Rift is subset beneath the waves. So this is surrounded by waterfalls that cascade down. There is a landmass that you would not be able to see by sailing up to it. It exists. You would come up to a giant waterfall cascading into the dark, and this landmass is down in the dark. You have the Sponsa feeding grounds. This is the home of the El Rasai. There is a creature in this world called the Sponsa, but the El Rasai have figured out how to live there and deal with them. They hunt the Sponsa to balance out the ecosystem because Sponsa are they themselves are they'll hunt for fun. The Sponsa will. So the El Rasai actually do help to regulate their habitat or regulate them from overgrowing. Then you have the Glowstone Quarry. That is here in the middle between the Caustic Caverns and the Sponsa Feeding Grounds. The Glowstone Quarry has a lot of natural stones that glow in the area. There are a lot of the creatures that live down here have adapted to this darker area, but these ones in particular have learned to hide themselves amongst the stones and keep themselves from being seen in this glow, making them very stealthy and devious hunters for the animals here. Then you have the Dark Descent all the way on the far left here. It is the home of the Fairy Clan. It's the darkest part of the Rift. The Fae are one of the few clans that can live in this area because of the abilities they have from their clan, whether that's the levitation or being able to see without seeing. They use glowstones in this area, and more in their tribal times, they use a lot of glowstones in the area to keep it lit. Obviously, now in a more high-tech, period, they have grown to have various lights around, so other clans can go there and not risk death by randomly walking into a hole and falling to their inevitable doom, however deep that is. But yeah, in the early days, they definitely lived a perilous life down in the Abysmal Rift, mutating and having clan abilities grow to adapt to that way of life. The Frozen Flames of Balor is the next one. That's down here on the southern hemisphere, the southern pole. The first one first major area that comes up is the Pine Grove, an area of ice formed in a way to resemble a pine forest, but they are not trees; they are just ice. Has never been known to melt. And any destroyed areas reform within a few years. So some, people have gone down there and destroyed sections of this pine grove, which is again just ice that looks like pine forest, and it has restored itself after such destruction. Then you have the Frozen Forge. So Pine Grove over here on the very left, Frozen Forge to the right of that. Frozen Forge is an area where many volcanoes exist. Some are active, some are not. It shifts around. But what's weird about these volcanoes is it's so cold down here that the tops of the volcanoes are covered in ice that does not melt. Many people have tried to melt this ice, but they have not been able to. It is a supernatural or extreme magical ice that covers these volcanoes. There are caves that grant access to volcanoes, but the heat is so intense that most are forced out very quickly. Then you have the Plains of Falling Snow. That's up here on the top right of the continent. That is the home to the Protean clan. It is the warmest part of the Frozen Flames, but snow does still fall there. But yeah, so cold, snowy, warmest still of the continent. Proteans do live there. That is the second calmest area next to the Hessex Mountain. The Sleep Bellows. Sorry, get distracted. The Sleep Barrows are to the south. That is an area covered in geysers. They are irregular. They are not very easy to predict. And instead of hot air, they shoot up very cold air and some shards of ice. There have been there have been no short number of people that have walked through this area and been found riddled with shards of ice that had embedded them as they navigated this area. The last continent is the ever-changing lands. So starting here on the left, we have the shifting streams. The ever-changing lands is a strange land of illusion and magical effects. The water sources here do change location often. Where you found a lake a week ago, there may be no lake there anymore. So that's it just shifts around a lot. The Mirage Woods to the south here. Area is heavily wooded. The seasons change randomly inside these woods. There is no rhyme or reason to it. And when I mean seasons, I don't mean like the Spark Woods where they go through a area of, blooming and decay. The Mirage Woods, the season itself will change. It could be snowing, and then it could be dark, and then it could be a season of light. Then it can go all the way to spring, and then back to, summer, and then maybe all the way to winter, and then it could be the season of light again. It's inside these woods, it's really hard to tell what time it is and what's going on. Then there's 3, the No Flow River. This is the home of the Scylla clan. It is over here on the, I want to say the right side of the map, left side of the continent. This is the home of the Scylla clan. It is, the rivers here don't look like they flow, but if you were to step into them, or even put your hand in it, you would feel how strong the currents are actually flowing. It's just a trick of the land that makes it look like they are sitting still when actually they are flowing much faster than other rivers. The Barren Oasis. Here towards the center of the continent. There's an area near the gate, this being the Broken Gate. It is a vast desert. There is a particular phenomenon that happens where oases appear when the travelers are in need. But what really happens is there are these very large tortoises that move across the land that have plant and wildlife growth on them. And this has been, this one has been, figured out over the years by the various denizens going through this area. But it is still a very fun, weird aspect of the ever-changing lands that there are these giant tortoises that just roam this desert, and on their back they have large, vegetation. Some having trees, some having small sort like pools of water, just growing off their shells. The Tide Cliffs. Oh, sorry, I missed one. The Healing Woods is the home of the Deva clan. That's weird. Oh, I see. Let's do that for now. It's home to the Deva clan. It is an abundance of resources and wildlife. It is over here, rightmost part of that continent, right side of the map. For a large part of the morning, the area is filled with dense fog. And if you wander into them, it has some kind of supernatural healing effect, and the minor wounds can be cured upon entering and leaving this fog. However, more critical wounds have not been known to heal, but people who have done so with major extreme wounds, survivable extreme wounds, have found that it has lessened their pain, their discomfort, and aided in their healing process. Number 6 is the Tide Cliffs, right here along the uppermost part of the ever-changing lands on the right side of this map. It is an area that, depending on the time of day, is perilous, or, depending on the tide, it could be a very short drop into the water. It's just extreme tidal changes happen here, where during certain parts of the day, you could just, hop into the water. During the night, it is a pretty perilous drop, and a very rocky one too. The last one of the land masses is Moon's Visage. It is in the southern central part of the ever-changing lands. It is home to the Tempest clan. The area is large. Wildlife is large. Vegetation is large. Flora, fauna. And for some reason, the moon Vimir is always in view. And over this area, through whatever means, magical or otherwise, many solar eclipses can be seen where the sun gets blotted out. While there is megafauna and megaflora, it's not so extremely hostile that you wouldn't be able to walk or live in this area, but that does not mean it's not hostile. It definitely still is a place you have to keep watch of. Animals need to eat, and megafauna definitely won't have issue finding the denizens of the planet as edible. I'm bigger than you, and you look tasty. Inside the oceans, you probably saw that there's a few markers there. There are some major areas in the oceans. We start with the whirlpools of Zell, top left of the map, up here. Above the plains of Presh, below the frosts of Kask. The ocean has many whirlpools, and it is known for destroying ships. There are also 2 major leviathans in this area who use the whirlpools as hunting grounds. So even if you think you can make it to the whirlpools if these leviathans decide to attack you, you may go down anyway. Be wary. Airships obviously could just go right over this area, but they're very expensive. Sometimes you'll need to take a ship, and ships try to avoid this area. Number 2 is the Cascades over here by the Abysmal Rift. The area is heavily feeds into the waterfalls around the Abyssal Rift. The water flows very fast here. The currents are extremely strong. Sorry about that. Did not realize the background music I'm using has voices at times, so I just skipped over that. Cool aesthetic, but don't need another voices while I'm trying to talk. So yeah, just getting too close to the Abysmal Rift is dangerous. Definitely don't want to do that. The Mirror Reef. The Mirror Reef's down here, between the ever-changing lands and the Frozen Flames of Balor. It is on the right side of the map, lower part. It is the biggest reef on Corvyth. Lots of different species live there, as well as a few leviathans. They live on the outskirts of the reef. When the water is extremely calm, it is been notated to look like a giant mirror. The Spout Spire is the last of the major features we'll touch on. Up here beneath the Frosts of Cask, to the north of both the Plains of Presh and the Scourged Plains, there is a lone, fully encapsulated water spout. Its height cannot be seen from the bottom. It's never been accurately measured. It's because it's not always present. When it does appear, it seems, well, let me rephrase that. It seems to only appear when it is not actively being looked for. And what lies in the sight of it, not many people know. There have been a few guild orchestrated attempts to investigate the Spout Spire. But as of where the lore of this world starts, up until this point, it has not been figured out yet. Many have died trying to figure out what's going on in there. Then there are some cities that I've actually gone through and written about. The first city, I have a few. The first city I'll talk about is Crawl. It's the city of the Adventurers Collective. This is for such individuals. When I say Adventurers Collective, for such individuals that want to explore the unknown, of which there are many mysteries and strange goings on in this world. We touched on a few of them previously, like the ice-capped mountains, like the Spout Spire. Areas that people want to go investigate. So some people join the Adventurers Collective and go out into the world to help others and to learn and uncover the mysteries. And this whole city was actually built around the collective itself. And there's quite a bit of like a random lore in here, like gathering quests, where people go out in the land and find herbal medicines for those who need it. There are hunting quests to hunt creatures for people, like a town is being attacked and the citizenry or the local government doesn't have the resources to take care of it at the time, they may go to the Adventurers Collective and be like, hey, we need some people to go take care of this creature attacking this town. This is the reward. If it is a creature of extreme danger, those generally won't show up in the adventurers line of quests. It's usually for smaller things that they're causing a disturbance, but they're not killing people. Sometimes very strong adventurers, if they aren't working directly for their guild at any point, may get some requests to help out on more dangerous quests. But for the most part, a lot of very strong people that would be very like strong adventurers are also very high ranking in their guilds, and they may be operating with their guild rather than the Adventurers Collective at that point. This is a great way for clan members and guild members to gain favor with their clan and guild by helping out those around them, especially if they did not want to join the citizenry and help out in that way. Another city that I've created is the Kitsune capital of Jinkyon. Um, Again, they have a lot of um, geysers in this area, so they have a very strong um, industry around relaxation and such. Um, and I go through and I knock. I like if I could draw maps, I might actually make maps of these cities, but unfortunately, I would. Well, I can do it. I don't do them justice. They don't look great. The few that I've made, I won't share the few that I've made using my map tools at this time. Maybe if I can make them look a little better. They're kind of disordered messes. I personally use Wonderdraft to make a lot of my city and world maps. Not, of course, this one. This was hand drawn many years ago, which is why it looks so bad. But I go through like the south of the city, house of the main market, and the crafting districts. The north of the market is the main housing district. There is a clergy district. I go into where like the international harbor is. Um, and if people really want me to dig into these, the few that I've created so far, and then more the ones I create in the future, I'll be glad to. I just don't want to. I'll leave a lot of the writing on screen, so if you want to pause the video and read through it, you're more than welcome to. We have the city of Typhon. It is on the north shore of the Gulf, on the west of the Tooth. So minor, not a minor city, but definitely not a capital city. A lot of trade vessels stop here. There are lots of harbors and docks and warehouses. The city of Hiroko, it's an island city off the south tip of the Tooth, in between the Frosted Cast and the Scorched Plain. Again, I'll pause here, so if people want to just pause it and read, more than welcome to. But eventually, the city, which was used as a in between, its population grew, and they ended up, erecting inns and bathhouses on the area and finding a different way, because obviously this island doesn't have the same geyser geothermal activity, but they found different ways to make their large bathhouses, basing them off of their primary cities and recreating it there. The city of Pyoko, um, it is a mining city. the Kitsune have. And then the city of Kroto, east of Pyoko. My naming sense, I like to think, is impeccable. It's not. Um, but I have fun naming things, even if I'm bad at it. This was a city established for trading between the Kitsune and the Spectre. Many of the people that live here are those two clans. Other clans have come to reside here, but the two major peoples of this land are Spectres and Kitsune. The city of Krov, which is a capital of the Spectre clan. It's built on a freshwater lake on a very inside a very large natural cave formation, as I talked about before. Inside of the blessing. And again, I go through a lot of like where the residential district is, where the leader's residence is, where they have gone through and dug out new tunnels over the years, where the travelers and recreational district is. So yeah, just kind of glancing over these a little bit. Then I have one city created so far for the city, the ever-changing lands, the city of Sarzek. That is the home city to the remaining members of the Drow clan. As I said, they were cursed. They can only have 500 members at any given time. Technically, it is 501 members, as their leader is cursed to walk the world, never being able to truly make connections or interact with people. But this is the home city that they were created and sequestered to. Going through, just talking about, how the city is laid out. This also is the city where the Vorodome's main campus is. So when the leaders of the Vorodome meet, they will generally meet here in the city of Sarzek. On the northwest side of so you go to the northwest side of the city and look out, you'll see a large adamantine gate that stretches half a mile high into the sky. That gate was a major gate that led on to the continent that was a part of the continent that was sundered. It was the last remaining part of that continent that part of the continent that existed, left as a reminder to the folly of trying to strike down the gods. The citizenry also has its main headquarters inside this city. So if your characters have a connection to the citizenry or are agents of the citizenry, they most likely have been to Sarzek. Some maybe, good amount of people have been trained here and sent out on their respective, quote-unquote missions. Some are sent to, medium-sized cities or towns to be their, local connection to the Vorodome and the citizenry. Some go on specific missions from the guilds. Like I said, some of the more dangerous creatures of the world that are causing issues may be taken care of by the guild or clan of the area of whoever controls that area, or they may request the citizenry to step in on they may request the Vorodome to have the citizenry step, and the citizenry would then go and assist for large-scale issues. There is a huge train system in the ever-changing lands that starts in the city. I guess it has multiple connection rails in the city. It doesn't really start there. And it's also a large district for doing business, since it is the seat of the Vorodome, it's a seat of the combined political power. There's a very strong merchantry and because many merchants and groups come here to supply, you know, high tier goods to the notable persona of the different clans and guilds. There are also a large grouping of bards and storytellers that come and set up theaters in the area. Good amount of um, crafters and dealers also, because citizenry needs supplies. So many people come here to try to get, if they want to be a weapon crafter or a famous um, summoner, they may come here to try to make a name for themselves by dealing with people from the citizenry, offering their goods to be used by them. There's also a very large university um, that exists inside the city. There is an idea of basic schooling. Each clan does it a little bit differently, but there are large universities run by um, different groups. A lot of them are run by librarians, as they are great teachers and learners. Um, but it's not like you go and you get a degree or anything. It's you go and you choose to learn until you either dedicate yourself to knowledge and continue to learn and contribute to society through those learnings, or you've learned enough pertaining to your goal, whether that's helping your guild or clan, or whether that's going and, you know, revolutionizing one of the industries of the world. Um, so, knowledge, in a sense that we are familiar with, exists, but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go pay tuition and get a piece of paper that says I'm proficient in business. It's you go and you learn until you have what you need. A couple of the last cities I'll go over in this video. Two of the major cities that I've talked about many before. There's the city of Metaticris. It is a flying city, and it is a city of the Pilots Guild. This city exists and flies many thousands of feet above sea level. It is a mile diameter circle, and it is 2.5 miles deep. Please don't tell me if this is possible or not. It probably isn't, but magic. Uh, that's what we're going with. I'm going to use the scapegoat of a wizard did it. Obviously, there's no actual wizards in my city, but there's a lot of magical effects, souls, imbuement, and the like. So, yeah, a wizard did it. And I go through and I talk about the bottom floors, the engineering floor, and the third floor is a living district. There's a floor that has recreation and travel, and this does have the Crush Ball Arena. Yes, there are sports. This is based on an old Baylor full contact sport called Crush Ball. But the retro Crush Ball is performed not by just people or Baylors crashing into each other. It is actually performed by mechs. There are teams of mechs that compete in a scoring type game. Why do I think it's important to have sports in a world? That's because I don't think a world is fully fleshed out unless you have details like that. So I've taken the time to create such mundane things as sports. And there's the scapegoat of being like, oh, just put in blood sports. But I mean, I want to create. I mean, sure, that probably happens in like the back alleys. Um, but I wanted to create something that was more quote unquote civilized, something more advanced. So in an advanced society, you generally start to push away from these quote unquote blood sports into pseudo blood sports. Uh, I mean, I jokingly say that, but I mean, someone, I forget his name, years ago, who they got a red card for biting another person's ear in soccer. Football in itself is just dudes clashing into each other. I mean, people clashing into each other to get a ball up the field. Um, Hockey, literally, it used to be the sport of fights. So, quote unquote, getting away from blood sports. Um, and getting more into sports where one team has to do better than the other, and not by means of killing somebody or injuring them on purpose. And I created a good amount of sports like that. That a player might be a big fan of one of the crush ball, uh, and I'm not going to go through and create every team. You can make your own teams. But if you have someone that is a big fan, you can just have it where like there's an event going on and you want to go see the finals that happen on Metaticris, or um, maybe you've grown up watching this sport and you want to participate in it one day, and join a team. It just gives you more breadth of things to choose from. Um, Especially in a world that's based more on intrigue. It just gives you another thing to help focus your character and what you want to do with it, and the creation of this like full creation process, and the playing of this character, and giving them additional things other than oh, my family died and I'm a lone wanderer and I found this party because we randomly stumbled into each other in a tavern. You could have something fun like, yeah, no, I grew up wanting to be a crush ball star, and I went and went to all these different teams, or I tried to get into these different teams, but because I didn't have my own mech, they wouldn't give me the time of day. So now I'm out on a goal to get my own mech, to pay for my own mech, so they'll take me seriously. Just different aspects, different ways to go about it, and I like making the world more fleshed out and giving these types of things that allow players to latch on to something a little different. Um, I mean, I'm not a sports lover myself. I watch football when my mom has it on. Um, Anytime I go over for like family dinner, and that's about all the sports that I watch. um, but I still understand why it grabs such a large fan base, why people love them so much, and I think that really helps flesh out a world. So there'll be a few things like this that exist, um, just for use it or don't, but it's there. The last city that I'll go over is the city of Suila Loon. This is the floating city of the Bards Guild. It is another city that goes around to different areas, travels the world. But this one is a mega float. Very, very large mega float. I go over, how fast it moves, how long it is, what's on the main deck, what's on the subdecks, and the Bards College. Um, so it's cities of the Bards Guild, but there are. I mean, you can't go to any city pretty much in this world and not deal with the Librarians Guild. Um, while there have been some librarians that have been known to get into combat, most of them deal with the transfer and collection of knowledge. They are dedicated to making sure that that knowledge is open and available for anyone that needs access to it. In the wake of the Draug Empire's collapse, they made the solemn oath to make sure that information would never be sequestered from the people again. And while high level politics in the Voradome and secrets of the clans and guilds still abound, they make it a point to take anything that they can share and share it. Any text that is possible for them to distribute, they will make copies and put it in their libraries across the world. Um, and some of those other things do make it into the libraries, um, but they may be in restricted sections where only high-ranking individuals would be able to access them, and only access them for the needs of, let me reword that, only access what they are allowed to access. The librarians themselves, in hypocritical contradiction, do have a vow of secrecy. But again, they have vowed to spread knowledge as far and as wide and as openly as they can. But the Bard's College takes up a large portion of the three upper tiers. Um, there are other areas of the upper tiers that aren't dedicated to the Bard's College technically, but again, it's a very very large campus. Um, it has the world's largest library on it. With very safe. Let's put a lot of books on top of a giant floating city on the ocean. Salt water is great for books here. Really keeps them in peak condition. Needless to say, there are many spirits that have been sealed into areas of this library to help preserve the books, to keep them in good health. The librarians themselves work effortlessly to make sure that the literature and scriptures stay as pristine as possible. But they have anything ranging from scripts to holy texts to fantasy novels in this library. Yes, this world is advanced enough that if you wanted to put a NPC or a player character who writes smut on the side, go for it. We have gotten to the point where these things exist. Will it find its way into the largest library on the planet? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But that those types of things exist. It is a world not free of strife, but free enough that people can fantasize and create and spend time doing their passions. So again, just another stark contrast to the life under the Draug, where things were mandated, things were restricted, things were pushed in a certain way. So it's just a very strong kickback from those times. But again, a world with an Assassin's Guild running around, I wouldn't say is perfect in any way. Uh, so, but that kind of goes over some of the stuff that I have. It's not a comprehensive overview of everything. If people want me to go more in detail and read through a lot of these cities that I've created, or go over some of the ideas that I have for cities as I go forward, I'd be happy to do that. I'm sure as I go through these dev diaries and as I create more, I will have more dev diaries going over different cities. But I just wanted to take a video and go over some of the background and lore of the world, what's going on around it, the different major locations, I mean, um, as well as some of the major cities that I have created. So, once again, thank you if you've decided to sit through and listen to this large video of me rambling on about fantasy stuff. If you have any comments, please put them down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And again, just thank you so much if you decide to listen to this. Until next time.